Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. It's an important show. It is a call-in show as well. I hope to hear from you. The telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. So what is, Nabu, first of all, Nabu, how are you doing today, my dear brother?
I'm doing excellent.
The engineer extraordinario está
Thank
con
you.
nosotros ahora mismo. Thank you so kindly for being here, my
Absolutely.
friend. That I think Lupita had some other things to do, right?
She did, but we're one big family over here. We all take care of each other.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, folks. That's what it's all about. You know, the program today, well, let me start it this way. I gave it a title. The economic collapse may be managed in a manner that furthers the deception. And that's an interesting title, but it came about because of something that happened to me this week. I'm not going to particularly go into it right now, specifically because, well, you know, you want to make sure the way you do things right. But anyhow, that is the title of the show. The economic collapse may be managed in a manner that furthers the deception. The second part of or the subtitle of the show is The Economic Collapse Did Not Begin with the 2008 collapse that President Obama attenuated. It is in full vogue and has been for over 30 years. But folks, the marketing by the Plutocracy is just so damn good. You know, the reality you don't really see. So that is what we're going to talk about today. The economic collapse has already started, folks. We are led to believe that we are just in a time of flux. Like before, we can make a few adjustments to our economic system and then all will be fine. All will be fine, Nabu. You think all's going to be fine?
I hope so.
Just making some Band-Aid fixes is all going to be fine?
I mean, I don't think any solution happens quickly, so that's my take.
That's your take. Okay, unfortunately, that is not the case. I wrote the following in a message to a few in my circle a few hours ago. I said the following. Probability says that there are a few meteors or asteroids traversing the universe destined to collide with the Earth and likely to destroy life as we know it. The thing is, if we know years in advance about that collision, we have the technology to nudge ever so gently to change the trajectory without causing too much disruption to everyday life. I tell you what, let me kind of qualify that. If you have a meteor that we find out is coming and to kill us all, to attack us, right? You can actually send up not very powerful rockets, but we have the technology to go ahead and send those rockets, use a little bit of fuel, put it on the right destination, stop using fuel, just get it to that location because inertia in space is permanent. So you get it to the trajectory of intersectionality. It intersects that being, lands on that being, and gently just apply a little bit of fuel to pressure that over the hundreds of thousands of or the millions of miles that it needs to come yet. And that alone is enough to change a trajectory, because a few micro degrees change in that body means a hell of a distance away from the earth when you're that far away. So it can be done. So why am I saying that? Let me find my spot here. The thing is, we know years in advance of the collision we can make that change. That is how I view the job of independent progressive media. Mathematically speaking, we have an unsustainable economy, and very few people see the asteroid coming if we can get enough people. But if we can get enough people to see it, we can have them elect the politicians who can nudge to make the changes to correct the mathematical defects in the economy. So that's where sort of an agreement with you, right? In other words, if we are out there far enough, we see an economic collapse come in. Not everybody sees it. We see it. We go ahead and get the politicians nudged so that we can make that change before the whole damn collapse occurs.
Right.
This is not easy because vested interests not willing to give up their unearned but politically policy manufactured gains. It's not easy because those folks, they don't want to give up that politically manufactured gain. It's not that they're getting that gain because they're worthy. It's not that they're getting that gain because they really worked for it. They're getting that gain because it was manufactured for them politically. We need a lot more of us building networks to do this in our own spheres of intersecting and disjointed interests. It will not happen on its own, and it will not come from politicians who by nature are timid. It has to be, it must be from all of us. All of us have to do our part. That is why there is a KPFT. That is why there's a Politics Done Right. That is why there is a common dream. That is why there are all these things. All these independent networks, not tied to politicians, not tied to corporations who have vested interests, that can do it. But before I go any further, I have to put a little plug for my KPFT here and for my Politics Done Right. Folks, unless these entities remain, unless these entities are supported, we can't do that. We can't get this stuff done because they all are telling you otherwise. So when I get to the blog of the week, which isn't completed, but I'm going to get to, you're going to see what I'm talking about. We will discuss deception, the gig economy, a fraud of frauds. Trump, not only the fault of evangelicals, unfunded pensions. My brothers and sisters in corporate America who are generally resistant to the message that we put out here, you know why they're many times resistant? Because they think they have that cushion in that corporation. They think that company is there for them. They think that corporation has a vested interest in them. Yes, it does have a vested interest in you for them, but you are just a cog. And of course, internet control. We always talk about net neutrality. Well, that's all but gone. And I can tell you from personal experience, they own you. I am on right now as I'm talking here in Nauvoo. We are here over the waves. We're on 90.1 FM. We are also, what are the other networks we're on again? 90.1 FM, and what's the other stations?
89.5, 91.9.
Right. So all over Southeast Texas, we're on the air, so people can hear us. We're also on Facebook Live. We're also on Periscope. We're also on Twitch. We're on all these things, right? Somebody can pop a switch, and we're no longer there.
Easily. Brothers and sisters, we have to be in control, the masses. So, I want to remind folks that, are you a KPFT listener? We are in a few days, I think it's a closeout for you to apply to be a listener-supported person that goes on the LSB. So check out our website at kpft.org if you're interested in becoming part of the board, whether as a listener or as a listener member or a staff member, something like that, right? I don't know where they go on the website. They just go to kpft.org and they can find it. Yeah, absolutely. Go to kpft.org. It's the first link or the first blog post that you see.
Mm-hmm. Anyhow, folks, before I get to the program, I wanted to remind all our listeners
that KPFT is a bastion of listener support. I mean, a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, I want to call out 4 specific shows today. I don't have time to go through all of them.
Sure.
Think Wing Radio with
Mike Koenig, and that's Mondays from 3 to 4.
And then, of course, we have Open Journal with
Dwayne Bradley and the crew.
And there's Jazz Latino of rock and Latin jazz at its very best.
With Juan Flores, and that's every Tuesday from noon to 2.
And then we have our star, and I'm lucky, I'm honored to have the star doing the radio with me right now, and that is Jenner Asian Radio, a weekly radio program featuring an eclectic mix of Asian underground, Bhangra, Bollywood, funk, Hindi, Rai, where ancient sounds meet future beats. And when's that again?
That is right after this show, so stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. Stay tuned, folks. And don't forget, check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is listener-supported public community radio station. So please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information, not influenced by whom, Naveed? Nabu?
The corporatocracy.
Absolutely not, folks. We got to make sure of that. Look, a corporation is not inherently bad. Let me qualify that. There are good corporations out there that take care of their people, that do good things. Unfortunately, it's not the norm. It is not the norm, unfortunately. But you know what, folks? Do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay. I am doing some other things later on this afternoon, and so I didn't get to completely write the blog post, but I got the important part of the blog of the week written. And I want to tell you guys something. I want you to listen to what I'm going to say in detail. And then I'm going to come to the call. Scott, I see you on right after. We'll come to you. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Okay. America needed a reality show star now for the presidency. And that's the title of the blog of the week. And it starts like this. Did you know we were in an economic collapse? And you know, a lot of people are saying, there goes Egberto again talking about the economic collapse and all of that. He's always overblowing things, and it is not the case. After all, if you live in Kingwood, you're living pretty fine. If you live in Spring, you're living pretty fine. If you live in all these places, you're living pretty fine. You know, my daughter is in Washington, D.C. right now, and she's working with a company doing some medical stuff. And what she was able to do was drive around America, the America not on TV, the America where the cameras aren't. And she's getting a lesson that I've already known. She's getting a lesson into driving into the core of America, the core of people that somebody else could create. Well, I'm going to get to the blog of the week, and then we'll go back to that. Did you know we were in an economic collapse? Very few people realize it. After all, President Trump says this economic rise, which started during the Obama administration, is the best it has ever been. The statement would be true if he said the best it has ever been for a select few. Everyone is going about their day. There are no soup lines. While hopelessness is increasing at a rapid rate, many people do not have a problem making an excuse for that. These people are on drugs. They're lowlifes, suffering from PTSD, albeit from an unnecessary war. How many co-workers of yours that you haven't got a clue of are living in their cars? A friend of mine the other day told me, you know, Egberto, I live in my car. You know, I wanted to say then, you know what? How many days do you need before you're settled? But you know why I didn't do it? Out of my fear that he thought I was infringing on his space. So I didn't. because I know the pride in many of these people. Most people want to work. Most people want to do what they want to do. So, how many of your friends are living in a car? Ask yourself, how many of your friends really are in need? How many of your people, your family folk are in need? Americans are great at suffering in silence. There is so much to expose, but who controls who gets exposed? Who determines what reality looks like? The people who have unfettered control of the airwaves and means of communication determines our reality. If these people are caring and uncontrolled by external forces with ulterior motives, all is good. Otherwise, what we get is a reality show. What we get is a reality show. Americans are hooked on reality shows of every type. Reality show stars, Donald Trump is no accident. In a time when reality is disastrous for too many Americans, there are two choices. The first is to create our made-up reality that soothes the pain of everyday life. Alternatively, we can gullibly accept the creation of a reality we allow others to impose on us. Remember, when Trump told his people not to believe what their own eyes see or their ears hear. So what is the real reality they don't want you to know? Trump was not just the fault of the evangelicals. The gig economy is a fraud of frauds. Control of the internet is very much in control of a few who decides how much visibility you are going to have. It's amazing that when I have certain topics, my visibility drops. It's amazing when I have other topics, my visibility soars. Folks, it's amazing how much control there is, irrespective of what you think about your freedom. But we don't really know, because you know what? We're living in somebody else's reality. And lastly, for my brothers and sisters in corporate America, our corporate servants, beware, because you may or may not be funded. You may or may not be what you think the future holds for you, or there may not be that future that you think future holds for you. So I have these topics to come back, but since I have people on the lines already, I'm going to use, I tell you, those are the 4 topics that I had, and I had a whole prose for all of those, right? But what I'm going to do, I think I'd rather open the lines up and let the people direct that. In other words, the gig economy, fraud of frauds, Trump not the fault of evangelicals, control of the internet, and corporate servants. So let's go with Scott to start the waltz. Come on in, Scott.
Thank you. I've been waiting to ask you.
Yes.
I'm looking for a good comparison between H.R. 1384 and H.R. 676, Medicare for All bills.
Right.
I don't know it fits into any of these 4 categories, but it is
actually
a part of
it's perfect.
Recovering from the Reagan Revolution.
It's perfect, sir. It's very much perfect.
Okay.
And the reason I say you're bringing that up, you're talking about Jayapal's bill.
The present one,
yes.
1384.
And the other one is the one that came from that's supported by this Senator Bennett, okay, which is terrible. Okay, they call it.
Hey, I'm not thinking of that. I was thinking of the old bill, the old HR.
Oh, HR 676. HR 676. Yeah,
previous
got it.
sessions.
My mistake. You're right. 676 is an old Medicare for All bill, and Jayapal's bill is the new one. Jayapal's bill is it's newer. It supports most of the same things in 676. And my thing is, I don't necessarily even want to go back to 676. Okay, let me tell you about 676. 676 had complete frameworks for things like when Medicare for All comes into being. what's going to happen is it's going to create a whole lot of job losses, right? Because all those people that work in the insurance industry, they are going to be out of jobs. So if you have a bill that makes everything good for all people who have health care, but somehow you have 1 million people that are laid off, this creates duplicating problems. So all these bills now, there's a call in. All these bills now take care of that. In other words, they give some time and payments to those people who are displaced because of the efficiencies created by Medicare for All, and then allows them to recover into a growing economy created from the efficiencies in Medicare for All. But so all those things are taken care of. But I'm glad you brought up Medicare for All, because Medicare for All and the folks that are opposing it, the fraud that's occurring against it, is something that we must talk about. I saw some advertising on TV that just came out, and I told, for those of you who follow me for years or for months or whatever, me talking about Medicare for All, I told you what the arguments were going to be placed on TV to have people start to fear Medicare for All. And what they started to talk about are things like, oh my God, there's this drug that could have cured this one person, and because we have Medicare for All and it's not on one of their plans, this person won't get the health care they need and they will die. That's a new commercial that's on TV right now. They will also tell you that, oh my God, if you need a knee replacement with Medicare for All, you cannot have it until you wait for a very long time. They're also going to tell you that all these people are going to be laid off. There's a whole lot of things they're going to tell you. What they're not going to tell you is that right now, healthcare is rationed. And how is healthcare rationed? You can't afford it, so you don't use it. You have Obamacare, but you can't afford to use it. Here's a thing that I heard on my way into KPFT today. I'm listening to A1 on NPR. And here's what this person said. This guy says, I am paying $1,400 a month for healthcare plus other incidentals. I'm paying $17,000 a year for nothing. In other words, he's paying $17,000 a year just in case he gets a bill for $100,000. And think about it. If he does that for 6 years, he's made the $100,000 that he could throw back into the bank. That is a kind of healthcare system. And by the way, all that money is going into the pockets of a few.
Yes. Well, 1384 has 6 co-sponsors from Texas.
Yes.
Checked yesterday, and it does include Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green.
Right.
It does not include Sylvia Garcia.
Right.
I'd like to hear you interview Sylvia Garcia.
I will try to do. Try to do so on Medicare for All, my friend.
I don't live in the district. I've known people who do. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see her get some opinion from.
Well,
I like her to hear from people in her district.
That is fine, and I'll try to do so. But let me just tell you straight up: we will be going at any particular candidate that does not support the American people. And that is saying any candidate who does not support Medicare for All is anti the health care of the American people. That's an absolute statement that I stand by. And that is, we will not support any person that won't support Medicare for All, because in effect they're supporting, and I this sounds radical, but in effect they're supporting the murder of their citizens. And I stand by that.
It has 113 co-sponsors now,
right,
and they're all Democrats.
Exactly.
But I think that's only about half the Democrats.
Yes, but we are taking care of that, Scott. We are working diligently on that, because we talk about not necessarily always having to have litmus tests. What we want here is we do want litmus test on Medicare for All, but more importantly, we want people to go out there and tell the truth about Medicare for All, because right now, yes, Americans are being lied to, and in the process of being lied to, they are allowing themselves to hurt themselves. But we are going to take care of that, Scott. Thank you so kindly for the calls. Anything else you want to say real quickly, Scott?
Thank you very much.
You have a wonderful day, my friend. Okay, let's go to John. Come on in, John. And by the way, after John, the lines are wide open, 713-526-5738. I have a lot more to say. I just wanted to get to the phone lines in case you guys carried the conversation along. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Come on in, John.
Hey, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, sir.
Hey, I have two things I wanted to mention. The declaration to declare war, that's something that was passed in 2001. Is it by both Democrats and Republicans?
Declaration of, wait, I don't think I understood the question.
So when there was a terrorist attack, I understand, from what I understand is, before you fought any war prior to 2001,
right,
you had to go back to Congress to get authorization for the president to wage war.
That is correct. And that has changed.
This was passed by Hillary Clinton and all the rest of the Democrats and the Republicans, right?
Yes, it is correct. In other words, they ceded power to the presidency to declare war unilaterally if he can somehow show that it is immediately to protect the country from terrorism, that sort of thing.
Right, but the Democrats did understand that anybody can interpret anything as terrorist attack.
Of course.
Now, it makes me wonder, why suddenly Trump is president? They're going to say he needs authorization to get into war with Iran.
Well, no, it's not.
I mean, this is the problem I have with Democrats.
No, wait, hold on a second.
I used to vote for straight Democratic ticket, but I don't anymore because this is the problem with Democrats. We gave Bush the power to do what he wanted. In 2008, if we knew this was a problem, why did we not fix it? Look. And then Obama used it.
Yes.
Okay, to wage war with Syria.
Yes.
And then now they're going to start crying foul. My point is this: the Democratic Party, I blame them a lot for Trump. I don't blame Trump for being Trump. I blame the Democratic Party and what they stand for all these problems that we're having in the country.
John, let me first tell you, let me cut you there because I am not going to argue that point with you because you're right. The reason we have Trump is that Obamacare is not the Obamacare that it should be. The reason we have Trump is because our international policies for trade is not the way that it should be. We can go over and over and over, issue and issue and issue and issue again to show that is correct. So I'm not going to argue with you. What I'm going to argue, I think there's another line ringing. What I'm going to argue with you is something that is better than that. And that is not better, but different than that. And that is, it is your responsibility as a voter, sir, as a voter to ensure that the people we put into office are progressives, and not only progressives in name, but progressives in values, so that we don't go through this crap over and over again. I've heard a progressive on TV say the following. If one of you, if the Democrats go ahead and elect one of those damn socialists, meaning Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, he's going to vote for Trump again. And that I wanted to specify exactly what that meant. It really meant the reality that we've always known, and that is the establishment is the establishment. It has nothing to do with party. I want to get into the phone lines are lining up, and before I answer another call, I want to mention a few things. Well, go ahead real quickly, sir.
Well, what I was trying to say was this. If we're going to talk about healthcare change,
yes,
here we're making the same mistake. We're trying to talk about the Democratic Party now supporting the
Medicare for all.
Medicare for all.
Yes.
Look, if Bernie Sanders is really serious about being president, let him jump out of the Democratic Party and join the Independent Party, and then say, "To hell with these two parties."
John, I would have been with you if I didn't understand how the system worked. That's not how you can. I mean, a lot of people say that out of frustration. The problem is the system is rigged for two parties. So
but that's the point. That's the point.
Yes.
The young kids from 40 going downwards, they have long gone over these two political parties.
But here's what
the only people still thinking of Democratic and Republican are people from 60 and above.
I'm not. Look, I can't argue with you because you're right. But what I can tell you is the process to do this, and which is what we have to get with the young people. And we've been making, in fact, with the Bernie Sanders movement, we've been making good progress about it. Don't talk about destroying a system you can't effectively destroy. What you do is you become that system, and we have a template to show that it has been effectively done. The way the Tea Party took over the Republican Party is exactly the way progressives should take over the Democratic Party. The difference...
It will never happen.
No, but...
You know that.
No.
Let me ask you one question, just the last
yes,
question.
real quick.
Did Bernie Sanders not surrender to Hillary? He was supposed to surrender. Why did he do that? If you believe you're the right candidate, go all the way.
And he couldn't. But I'll explain that as I go with the other calls. But we're completely filled up. Thank you so kindly for calling, my brother. All right, let's go to James, line 4. Come on in, James.
Thank you for taking my call, Pedro.
Yes.
Quick question, and I listen offline. When I was speaking about the economy,
yes,
the economic growth,
yes,
under Trump,
yes,
do they take in consideration how long ago did we have those storms? The last storms we had.
Which one? That's not long ago, but I know what you're asking. You're asking if they considered all the loss in value that occurred then and then the delta increased after you had that big dip.
Yeah, the
yes.
the jobs, the remanufacturing,
right.
resales, and all that. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, let me tell you, in the aggregate, all of that is fused into the numbers, okay? When you look at GDP and GDP and GNP, all of those numbers are in there. But the thing about it that I want to tell you is this, brother. The growth is there, okay? The problem is the growth is for a very select few. Let's give an example. Yeah. That $1.x trillion that was returned, most of that money came back into the, and it included bringing a whole lot of money back into the country with beneficial tax rates. What that did is they claimed they were going to create more jobs with it, but what they actually did is they went ahead and bought back stocks. In buying back stocks, they gave the people 2 more bangs for their buck. In other words, the price of that stock went up because there are less of that stock available from the tax cut that the American people are no longer going to see in income to the Treasury, and because appreciation in value of a stock is different than wages, it gets taxed again at a lower rate. So the whole economy is a sham, but not only a sham, but unsustainable. And one of the things that I try to specify in the blog of the week is we have to live in a reality show to believe that this is a sustainable economy and not realize that we're going downhill. The average American citizen is going downhill. The reason we don't know that, it's a reality show. And I wanted to specify that when I gave some explanations about the gig economy. I wanted to explain that when I gave about the servitude that people who work for corporations who think they are doing very well but really are not. And I wanted to show that in other areas. But I'm going to do that as I answer more questions from the callers that are coming in, my friend.
Follow the money.
Thank you. You have a great day, my brother.
All right.
Okay, let's go to William, line 2. Come on in, William.
How you doing, Egberto?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me.
I want to call. Look, we've seen this thing that's going on with Iran.
Yes.
They've repeated this scenario so many times. I mean, this idiot wants to tell the country that he doesn't really want to hurt Iran, and he's doing it in every possible way. He sends a whole battle group over there.
Right.
And then they have this incident, and one of the people that was on one of those tankers said it came out of the sky.
Right. It was a missile that somebody said. Let me just tell you about Iran real quickly, okay? Remember who's president? President Trump, and he's a reality-based president. And not only that, he probably will get whatever he wants. Not even Nancy Pelosi would effectively say we're going to impeach this guy, in as much as all the things. A woman came out.
You can't do it unless the Senate goes along.
No, that's not true. No, sir, hold on. Sir, my brother.
Look,
my
all
brother,
the countries in Europe
that
are really suffering with immigration problems that were created by the Bush.
Yes.
Baloney.
William.
I mean, they don't want to see
William.
this again, and they tried to stop it right from the beginning. And it's the same scenario.
William, I ask I listen to everybody, and I ask you to, when I ask you to stop for a minute, to please, my brother, please stop so that we can get the communications. I want to tell you something about Iran. Trump es sumamente puede hacer esto. If I can't remember how to say that in English. Anyway, Trump really wants to do a whole lot of things. Trump really, honestly, does not want to go to war. What Trump wants to do is to be the president that's going to open all these other countries, and basically when he leaves the presidency, go build a hotel. So if what he wants to do is he wants to have friendly relationships with Iran, with Iraq, and all of them. Don't buy the Kool-Aid. But anyway, I have some other things that I would like to talk about that, but it doesn't cover where we want to go with the show. Anyhow, thank you so kindly for calling, William. Let's go to Tori. Tori, number 1.
Howdy.
Come on, my brother.
Yeah, so basically I wish you would do a foreign policy show one day and, just dedicate the whole show to U.S. foreign policy. But anyway, for today, we have a republic. It's not a democracy.
True.
The whole scheme, we need to look at things in terms of class. Before the U.S., it was this hereditary system of kings in England and Europe, and it's the 0.00001% that basically has power.
Right.
With a republic, and specifically the U.S., you start to empower this new class.
Right.
It's not a new class, but it's 5%, the business class.
Right.
It's all the Enlightenment ideal stuff. Okay, so the Enlightenment, European Enlightenment stuff comes over here. Okay, so educated business class people can run the government instead of a bunch of kings. All right, so that's like a huge increase in the amount of people that get to make decisions, like maybe 5% at the most. And it's concentrated through the Congress.
Tori, my line's super full, my brother, so kind of come to my point real quick.
That we need a democracy for the 95%, not just, and so we're never going to get there through this system, through a republic, which concentrates power. And over the history of republics, there's been a few hundred since Greece, ancient Greece. What happens is that you do the math, people, by voting for representatives, they give up their power to make decisions, and that power is concentrated into a central authority, and that becomes a dictatorship. All republics so far have evolved into, or devolved into.
Let me tell you what I would be interested in hearing from you, because with computer systems and all of that, we don't really have to have representatives, right? We could actually have, do puppets. I do think we always will need something like a Bill of Rights to protect there is a fact that there is a tyranny of the majority that we always have to protect against. But after that, I am 100% with you, sir.
Well, we do need a debating forum, and Congress is good for that. And I'm fine for having representatives that get elected to this debating forum because we do need that. But the problem is that those, few hundred people get all the power. They get to make all the decisions on all the big
I am with you there.
Bills.
Absolutely.
They should only have one vote for one person, just like anybody else. Have the debating forum, have the TV, computer, all this information set up where people can hear the debates, but they shouldn't have the power of all the people.
And you know what? You just hit the nail the nail on the head, right? I mean, the head on whatever you say, because because what happens is you have the senators out there, 100, and generally speaking, they don't represent what the people they represent want. So you're absolutely right, Tori. I really have to go. All the lines are filled up, brother.
It's a way for corruption to seep in.
Absolutely.
And that's built into the system. It's a business,
right.
It's a representative of the business class. It's working perfectly exactly the way it was designed.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Thank you, brother.
All right.
Okay, let's go to Johnny, number 5. Come on in, Johnny.
Hey, what's up, Berto?
Talk to me, sir.
Hey, I just want to say that, first off, I think everybody's being a little naive about all of this stuff here because at the end of the day, you mentioned it before, the system is working perfectly as it was designed.
Actually, Tori just said that as well, yeah.
And the thing is, when Trump got elected president, I'm pretty sure that you and everyone else put their money in Halliburton because you knew that there was going to be this drumbeat to war. Right. And you're right. There's not really necessarily money in an actual war, but in the buildup and the escalation and the tension.
Right.
I mean, that's great. You look at gold prices.
Right.
You look at oil prices right now. Listen, this was easy to predict.
Yes, sir.
With the Trump presidency. So this is actually playing out exactly like we thought it would.
Johnny?
My question for you is, when are the regular people going to have enough with this president?
Let me stop you right there because I'm glad that you asked that.
How many more rape charges do we have to endure as the American people watching our president be accused of raping yet another woman? My goodness.
Okay, I want to answer that with something that I don't know if you heard the blog of the week, but I want to answer that with the blog of the something that I said, and I said this. I said there is much to expose, but who whoops, come on, come on. That's rude of me. That's rude of me. Sorry, guys, you heard that phone. There is much to expose, but who controls what gets exposed? Who determines what reality looks like? The people who have unfettered control of the airwaves and means of communication determines our reality. And that is your answer, sir. And we have to remember that. And that is why we do need independent media who's going to come out and tell folks, hey, the establishment is all and in the same. And
so
what
Berto, are you saying right now, or can you at least agree with me on the point that capitalism is no longer compatible with democracy?
You and I have agreed on that how many times on how many different shows,
and
Johnny?
And like I said, the work that you're doing is really important, and that's basically all I wanted to say with that.
Thank you.
I think we've reached that point in history, and I would just point out to everybody, stop acting surprised. You saw what was happening,
brother,
to
black
people and to now brown people,
and
to
now
at the border. We have concentration camps in this country. I mean, come on.
Check out my blog on Eating Your Own. Thank you so kindly, my brother. Have a good one. Okay, let's go to Chris, line 6. Come on in, Chris.
Hey, Berto, you're right. Trump doesn't want war.
Exactly. Continue, my brother.
If he wanted war, he would have fallen for one of those 14 false flag gas attacks in Syria, and he never took that bait. So that's food for thought.
Right.
He's blustering, and he's performing a theater with Iran, but he knows Iran doesn't want a war, and he doesn't want a war.
Right.
It's all leverage.
You know.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to try to touch base on a couple other things.
Real
quick. You have a thought on that?
Go ahead.
Okay, Medicare for all. Originally, they wanted to phase in Medicare by bringing it down to 50 years and up.
Right.
40 years old and up. Are any of the bills in place going for that strategy?
No, the strategy is right now to bring it up in 4 years. I think it's either 2 or 4 years. I think it's 4 years on the Jayapal bills.
Okay, so everybody after 4 years.
Yes, sir.
So it would just gradually work down decade by decade. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So the problem with us implementing Medicare for all is how we implemented Obamacare, where we covered elective procedures and surgeries like IUDs being I guess
that's fine that they use it. Go ahead, make your point.
Yeah, installed or whatever. Because I heard a story on NPR how it was insurance companies were being forced to pay $5,000 to $10,000 for IUDs to be installed.
Okay, let me stop you right there. I get where you're going. Now, let me tell you something. First of all, if you're listening to NPR, ABC, CBS, or any particular mainstream media on Medicare for all, rest assured that the Powell Manifesto is very much in effect there. You're going to hear all the false. So first of all, an IUD don't cost $10,000. Secondly, all drugs are really originally stated by your tax dollars. So all of it is a fraud. I don't have the time. We're running out of time, and I'm going to get to every single person on this on the call right now. I just want you to hear me out on one thing, Chris. Start following Politics Done, EgbertoWillies.com and PoliticsDoneRight.com. We're going to be covering all these issues on Medicare for all. And the reason I'm telling you this is you will be lied to from every single network going forward. Medicare for all, from a mathematical standpoint, is an absolute statement that it's the only solution and the less expensive. We determine a basic set of care for every single American citizen. If you want petals and roses on your bed and all these other things, that is where a private sector insurance company can come in. But when it comes to every American knowing that if something ever happens to them, they are taken care of out of the general fund that all of us paid into. It's not free health care. It is Medicare for all. Chris, I got to let you go to get some more calls, brother.
Just one final point.
Yes, sir.
If something happens to us, right?
Yes.
So it shouldn't cover elective procedures like gender reassignment surgery.
Hold on. That is expensive and that is above my pay grade, but we will determine those types of issues in a
because what's the disease?
Wait a second, sir.
There's no disease
sir.
of having perfectly functioning
I know
genitalia.
that. I know that. Let me tell you something. Okay, I am not going to go there, but I tell you what we got to do. We got to be honest in the way we practice it. Thank you so kindly for the call. You keep listening.
Thank you.
And read those darn blogs, my friend.
All right.
All right. Okay, let's go to Jack, number 3. Come on in, Jack.
Hello. What's the deal with Trump in Iran?
What you mean?
Like Trump, attempting to make a deal. I saw in his press
Of
conference.
course he's going to make a deal. He doesn't want a war.
Great again.
He does not want a war with Iran. Trump does not want a war with Iran. Trump does not want a war with anybody. Trump wants to be the person who is going to look like he made peace with every single country in the world and ultimately build a hotel. Okay? Trump is, look. I have no clue what that was. Okay, let's go to line number 4. Come on in, Samuel. Come on in.
Hello?
Yes, you're on, Samuel.
Hey, how's it going, Alberto?
I'm doing fine, my friend.
Well, I think my point's being proven again and again that there needs to be a new system, machines over humans. Anyway, I feel like, especially these days, with how flawed humans can be and how easily influenced they are, bribed, so to speak.
Yes.
I feel like it's very necessary to look towards better options like a liquid or more direct democracy, or processes that sort of mitigate and reduce the number of human brains to solve problems like climate change and the economy and so forth and so on. So I remember there was a caller earlier talking about Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
And how he was sort of caving into Hillary and endorsing her.
Mm-hmm.
That simply happens because when you propose revolutionary policies like Medicare for All, when you propose that there's a real problem with the income and wealth inequality, and you propose a new system, let's say liquid direct democracy or a more AI-based government that's solution-oriented, that's a very scary and threatening.
I'm glad, Samuel. I'm glad that you said that, and you brought up a very important part of what I wanted to discuss today. And you brought up the stuff about machines and all of that, and in effect, machines are going to be taken over. But here's the thing about it: you talk about machines in a positive light, right? The sad thing about it is machines are going to be taken over. I mean, Amazon has the drones, Uber has the cars, all these other the trucking companies have all these things are going to take over, right? But instead of it being better for us all, the corporatocracy, our plutocracy, is using it to make a few more rich while the others suffer. I was going to go into detail about this, but the phone started to go so crazy that I wanted to. I'm going to tell you that coming in my blog that's going to be written for Daily Coast, I will be covering this in that blog in detail. But as it turns out, you are absolutely right if we do it for the positive reason. But remember, it can also be used for bad. Thank you so kindly, Samuel. You're brilliant, sir. Okay, let's go to Johnny, line 2. Come on in, Johnny.
Johnny, 1.0 here. How are you, Roberto?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to suggest that when you have people like Chris calling in with legitimate, specific questions in regards to health care or Medicare for All, that you remind the audience and you share with him that he can go online after your show to Healthcare for All Texans, HCFAT. HCFAT.org.
You know what is so great?
Comprehensive educational advocacy page for universal health care.
See why I love my callers? You see why I love my listeners? Because wherever I have a brain fart, there's somebody there to say that. So repeat that address again, please.
Healthcare for All Texas or Texans, I forget which it is, but if they just enter HCFAT, HCFAT, HCFAT. Opposite of fat is healthy.
Thank you so kindly, Johnny. Johnny, that's why I love my callers. Every single one of them. I don't care what side of the aisle. They always have something positive to bring to the show. Thank you so kindly, brother.
Before I hang up, I have the real reason I wanted to call.
Real quick.
I'd like to suggest that we take a new approach to unemployment benefits, starting with the people who will be displaced out of the so-called health insurance industry. Instead of offering them unemployment in the way we do now, at a piecemeal basis, where they're constantly switching gears, and they really can't concentrate on looking for new employment, we award them 6-month blocks, where they don't have to keep reapplying every 30 or 60 days. 6-month blocks, and if they should find solid employment before that 6 months, guess what? They get to continue collecting up to that 6 months. So that's an incentive for them rather than a disincentive or a distraction.
Very good point. That's a smart move, because what it means is they don't wait for 6 months to use up all the money and go forward. Very good point, Johnny. Thank you, buddy.
That's it.
Have a good one, brother. Take care. All right, let's go to line 6. David, come on in.
Hey, Egberto.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I try not to call your show unless I got something really germane to talk about. I think this thing has hit the nail right on the head, because I have a question to ask you.
Yes.
There's a book that I got a hold of, and I read it, and a friend of mine read it, and he's been telling me about it. Have you ever heard of the book Democracy in Chains?
No, I have not, but I can kind of figure what it's about. But tell me what you want to tell me in about 30 seconds.
Okay, the subtitle is The Deep History of the Radical Right's Stealth Plan for America. I will tell you this, Egberto. I don't want to spend too much time. I know you got other calls.
Yes.
I strongly urge you to get this book, buy it, and read it, because it will, everything you've been talking about. She explains, Nancy McLean's the author, she explains what her subject matter is garnered from a huge trove of information.
Thank you for that. Democracy in Chains is what it's called.
The University of Virginia. She got all this information from a source on the campus. I think a guy that used to that was a professor there. His name is James McGill.
David,
Buchanan.
I gotta go, but I appreciate you bringing that book to us. I'm going to go look it up, brother. Okay.
And I tell you what, anybody else who's listening to me, if you hear what I'm saying, take my word for it. Get the book and read it, because you will be blown away by what's in that book.
Thank you, brother. You have a great day, sir.
You too.
All right. Okay, let's go to Scott real quickly. Come on in, Scott. Scott, you're on. Scott. Hello? Yeah, you're on, Scott. Come on in.
Oh, this is John.
Oh, John. Come on in, John.
Oh, that's all right. Hey, about 25 minutes ago, John was right as far as I'm concerned, because the Democrats, to me, they would never expose their ills or their corruption. The reason I say that is when Trump, Roosevelt, Darnell, and Casey Spacey were there in the Democrat Party, did all these things. When they switched to the other party, that all the ills was sent out to everybody.
Right.
I mean, so my point is, where were they? Where were they ever telling? And also, on the Democrat Party, you got people like David Duke, Jared Taylor, Matthew Heimbach. They're Democrats.
No, they're Republicans. They're Republicans. They're Republicans.
Gay men like Richard Spencer, they
Brother,
belong on the left.
No, those are Republicans that you just called out, but that's okay. Let me tell you what I want to advise my people. I am into solutions, right? Exactly. I am not into saying, oh, the Democratic Party is all bad, because I, personally speaking, let me take my hat off. I am a Democrat, okay? I am a progressive. I am a democratic socialist. Those are all labels that I allow myself to wear. Here's what I try to tell people. Please, my dear brothers and my dear sisters, don't just complain. Do something about it. Put your money where your mouth is. We here at KPFT, we support doing positive things in every respect. Everybody needs to be put in. If you want solutions, you have to do what the other side is doing to get their ills against you. You have to do it positively. I got to go. I have 4 calls, and at the same time, I only have 3 minutes. So thank you, my brother.
Thank you, man.
All right, let's go to Gary on line 3. Come on in, Gary.
Hey, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Real quick.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're familiar with what's going on in Oregon right now.
I think I not specifically, but I got a call that said something about the Republicans are raising hell about something being done for the environment.
There was a big progressive movement that the progressives advocated, organized, and elected representatives. Wrote a great bill with majority support. Real progressive climate bill, and the Republicans walked out of the state and used procedural methods to block it. So, your suggestion is how progressives should behave was followed explicitly in Oregon, and it's and it's been sabotaged by the Republicans. So I think it's worth your while to do a blog post and take a look at that. It's a very important lesson for progressives.
I will do that, sir, and thank you for giving me the heads up. I did hear about the.
It's important. It's a precedent-setting move. It's the Republicans actually left the state.
No, by the way, we did that in Texas. Democrats did that in Texas before.
I understand that,
but I'm glad that you. I will do.
Progressives did everything right, and they still end up on the end of the short stick.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, and I'll talk about it. Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right. Take care. All right. Line 2, John. Come on in.
Hi, I'm John. I'm a lifelong scientist, and I just wanted to make a comment about the AI. It was an interesting conversation.
Yes, sir. Real quickly.
Real quick. I would just propose the idea that as we let, you're talking about the machines taking over and so forth, it's not so much that the machines are malevolent. They are not intelligent. They just are programmed.
Right.
The problem is if you give up everything to the Internet and to the machines, it's not the machines you have to worry about. It's our enemy. How would you like to be driving down the road at 70 miles an hour and have Russia take over your steering?
Exactly.
My only point.
Exactly. I got 2 minutes, sir, but your point is well taken, and I got to go to another call. Okay, brother?
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so kindly. Okay, MOD, you're on. Are you going to...
Should have just closed it.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, you got to close out right now, my friend.
Okay. Well, you know, if Iran wanted to, all they had to do, Egberto, is shut down the Suez Canal, and America would probably be broke in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, the Suez Canal, you're right.
That wouldn't really happen, do you think?
No, they can try to close the Suez Canal, but it's not possible because, I mean, we have enough firepower, not only the United States, but Great Britain, and everybody's going to be in the Straits of Hormuz to prevent that from happening, sir. Everybody's going to be there.
They could stop the Suez Canal, Berto.
No, they couldn't.
It'd be a war.
It will be a war. You're right. I got to go. My manager is telling me I got to leave now, MOD. So thank you so kindly.
I like being on hold 9 calls and getting the last one as always.
All right, brother. Thank you so kindly. All right, folks, this is Politics Done Right. My name, do I have how many minutes? Okay, folks, let me tell you first of all.
Pretty much a minute.
Listen, let me tell you, folks. I really wanted to get more into detail with some of the 4 topics that I mentioned before, but I didn't because for a long time we hadn't had the callers calling in and having their say. This show belongs to all of you. So all the technical aspects of the policies that I spoke about on that initial part of the blog, I'm going to be writing a blog. It's going to first appear at dailycoast.com. And what I'm going to do with that is explain these issues for you. Please go ahead and read it. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And let me tell you, more than anything else, this show is yours. And guess what? I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.